Welcome into episode number 102 of The Voice Behind the Voice. I'm Sean Aronson, the TV and radio broadcaster for the St. Paul Saints, an independent minor league baseball team in the Twin Cities. Well, last week you heard me talk a little bit about my love and passion for the Olympics. And something interesting and unique and crazy happened over the weekend. Look, I told you, locked in, right? We talked about this last week, how I'm locked in to the Winter Olympics. Now, it's sad when it ends. I love the good stories. I love seeing, the athletes, not just the ones that win, but the stories of the ones that don't win or, have struggled to make it there or whatever the story may be. You probably saw the story of, what was it, the skier in the half pipe who kind of conned the system, if you will, or found a way around the system to make her way to the Olympics. And, she basically had no business being there, but found a way to get there. It was a great story. Look, everybody, might have some sort of dream out there, and hers was to get to the Olympics, and she found a way to get there. But over the weekend, and look, I stayed up till all hours to watch any and all sports. It didn't matter. And I would watch it at night when it was live, and then again in the afternoon when they were replaying it. This is just what I do, which tells you I have no life, but I think you knew that by now. But on Friday night, actually Saturday morning technically, the U.S. men's curling team was in the gold medal match. And I believe they're all from the state of Minnesota. Now, I don't think any of them are from the Twin Cities, but up in the Duluth area and things like that. At least 3 of the 4 are from Minnesota, and there's an alternate as well. So I think 4 of the 5 are from Minnesota. But after the U.S. men won, I utilized the St. Paul Saints Twitter account to send out a tweet. Now, this was 3 o'clock in the morning, 3:15 in the morning. And I basically said, can we all agree that John Schuster, the skip of the curling team, and Team Schuster should never pay for another drink in this state again? Okay? Look, I send out tweets from the Saints account all the time. And this one gained a little bit of traction. Like, people were euphoric. It was amazing at 3 o'clock in the morning how many people were still up and retweeted it and liked it and whatever, okay? But the next day, or that later that day, I should say, Saturday morning, they replayed the curling match. Now most people are up, so obviously you didn't stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning, or on the East Coast 4 o'clock in the morning. They wanted to replay it, and they did, mid to late morning. And at the end of that, they showed an interview that they had with the 5 members of the curling team. Again, the 4 that played and the 1 alternate. And on NBCSN, they showed the tweet that I'd put out from the St. Paul Saints account, saying, I don't know if you'd seen this, but the St. Paul Saints, an independent minor league baseball team, tweeted this out. And John Schuster, again, the skip, basically for those of you that don't know what in curling what that means, it's the last guy that throws the last 2 rocks. He says, I've heard the Saints are a lot of fun, and now they're going to be a lot cheaper to go to. So I don't think he's ever been to a game, but we are going to do everything that we can to reach out to them and to many of the other U.S. Olympic athletes, because a lot of them are from the state of Minnesota. And we're going to do everything we can to reach out to them. The women's hockey team, Jessie Diggins, who was the first to win a gold in cross country, and to invite them out to a Saints game and kind of honor them. Now, I don't think we can get them all here on the same day, but if we stagger it throughout. Now, the problem with this is obviously we're way down the totem pole of what they're going to be asked to do now when they come back into the States. And on top of that, the Twins play before we do. The Wild are currently going on right now. So are the Timberwolves. So my guess is they're going to go to these sporting events as well. And we're going to be last on this. But it was kind of cool to see the tweet that we had put out and to see NBCSN recognize this and show it to the guys. So I think it at least gives us the inside track on those guys to get them out here. To which I am hoping that I can, A, have them on the broadcast, B, they bring their medals, which I assume they do anytime they're going to make an appearance, and C, I have a chance to put it around my neck. I think outside of the Stanley Cup and drinking out of the Stanley Cup, and mind you, I do not drink, have never drank before, period. That is the one time I would drink. But a medal from the Olympics around my neck, drinking out of the Stanley Cup, two things that I would give anything to do. So I just thought that was a little bit of a neat thing that happened over the weekend. With that, let's get to episode number 102. It is Don Fischer of Indiana University. The guy, you know, it's interesting when you sit down with these broadcasters because a lot of them have been around for such a long time. We're going to get into a little bit of a time frame here. We had Al McCoy last week. We have Don Fischer this week. In a couple of weeks, I'll have somebody else that has been around with their team for quite a while. And it's interesting to sit down with them and listen to them talk about 30 years of history that they have. And of course, look, I asked him a little bit about Bob Knight. I will tell you this much, and I've since fixed the problem, but we're going to run into this in a couple of episodes over the next 2 weeks, so I do apologize. For those of you that are watching this on the video here, there's an XLR cable that goes into the back of your microphone. I don't know if we have one here. Oh, we do, right here. So it goes into the back of your microphone. And that was faulty, and I didn't recognize that. And so for about 2 or 3 interviews, it was faulty, and you hear a little bit of static in the background. Unfortunately, on this one, you're going to hear it more prominently in about a 10-minute period, in about the, 54-minute mark to the 1 hour, 4-minute mark. And with the intro, it'll be pushed back a little bit further than that. But you're going to hear a little static, and it's unfortunate because it's a time where he's talking about Bobby Knight and some stories about that. It's still audible. You can still hear it. It might be a little bit of, to the ear, you're going to hear it. But bear with it because he's got some good Bob Knight stories with that. If you've not subscribed to the podcast, you can do so on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also follow us on Twitter at TheVoiceBTV, Facebook, facebook.com/TheVoiceBTV, and you can always email me, thevoicebtv@gmail.com. All right, let's get to it. Episode number 102, Don Fischer, Indiana University. JW, roll the open.
I knew it was the general manager waiting for me, so I walked in the door and he said, "I thought you told me you've done play-by-play before." And I said, "Well, if I'd have told you that I had never had any experience, I didn't think you would hire me, sir." And I said, I wanted the job. And he goes, "Well, you're right. I wouldn't have hired you." And he said it in a little bit stronger language than that. Yeah. And he said, "You've got 3 weeks." And I said, 3 weeks? I mean, does that mean that I'm fired? He goes, "If you're not dramatically better in 3 weeks' time, you are out of here."